Hey girls, and welcome back to the Feel the Smile podcast. Today we are here with Halli, and we're going to be talking all things weddings, wedding planning, and bringing Jesus back to the center. Halli is actually one of our Feel the Smile brides. We have had literally so many girls get engaged or planning their wedding in the past 4 months of Feel the Smile. And so we decided that we wanted to come on here and kind of talk a little bit more about weddings and kind of encourage you girls, for the girls that are planning, even the girls that are single, to kind of reflect back on what you're planning your wedding might look like and what really the reason of marriage is. And so me as a wedding planner in the industry, Halli as a bride, and also a little girly getting her toes dipped into the wedding industry, we wanted to come on here and talk about all things weddings, all things brides, and kind of what that looks like. We're so excited to have you, Halli.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Okay, so we have a couple of questions that we wanted to go over and just kind of thoughts that we had about the wedding industry. We were literally in Scarlett's apartment the other day talking about weddings just because that's just our life at this point, and we just love talking about it, and so many controversial things, so many this or that's that we love or that we hate, and just kind of bringing back the reason for marriage and just the covenant of that. So, firstly, we wanted to kind of talk about, if you have anything, if you don't have anything, I'll talk first. But if you do, from your perspective, what do you think the wedding industry gets right? And then where do you think it could maybe miss the mark?
Yeah. Well, I've been working part-time in weddings for about 4 years now.
Yeah.
So you kind of start to see patterns and trends of what brides, desire, what their heart desires, patterns that they might fall into. I think the biggest one is comparison.
Yeah.
I think that, comparison is always the thief of joy. So in a wedding season, you're constantly scrolling on social media, scrolling to get inspo.
Yeah.
But I definitely think that that's a dangerous rabbit hole, and I think that you can definitely fall into that pattern.
For sure.
Something that you get right, I definitely think that I love the whole shebang. I love weddings. I've always loved, throw in the big event and getting creative with it.
Yeah.
I think that there are a lot of things that can get misconstrued really fast, though, when you do that. So, I think even when you're super passionate about it, and you have a wedding planner to help you, which I definitely think a wedding planner, you need one to help you take the stress off.
Yeah, girls.
Take the stress off, and then just kind of lead you in the right direction.
Yeah.
That way you're not so bogged down with all of the wrongs and all of the patterns that brides typically fall into if they take the weight of trying to plan everything by themselves.
For sure.
So that's one thing, the wedding industry does get right, is having a wedding planner. I think that's absolutely crucial.
Yeah.
But, as far as, maybe sometimes you might not have the budget for a wedding planner, or maybe it's just not in the cards for you. But if you, I'm currently trying to plan my own wedding, but then I'm going to have Caroline alongside me during the day, and she's going to be my lifesaver, and it's going to be so fun. But I think even just dipping my toes into planning my own wedding from the start, I've already seen myself fall into the patterns that I told myself that I wouldn't. And, I think there's so many different ways of trying to navigate that. And I think the main thing that I've realized is comparison is probably the number one thing that you fall into right away.
For sure.
I think that you start to, maybe compare oh, well, her wedding looked like this, or she had the budget to do that, or, her husband does this for her, which those are all really, really, really dangerous things to fall into. And, comparison is the thief of joy. So
That's so true.
I think if you have a wedding planner to lead you in the right direction, to ground you and kind of take the weight off of things and just remind you that this is why you're here, and this is why God put you in this position.
Yeah.
I think that's really important.
That's good. I agree. I think one of the biggest things that is so hard for girls, for brides, and just really anyone who's in just the time of wedding planning and just kind of wrapped up in all of that is it kind of, I mean, it does take a lot of your time and it takes a lot of preparation, obviously. And there's so many things getting thrown at you, getting yelled at you, opinions of
Right.
other people. And like you said, just like looking at other weddings, getting inspo, looking at your Pinterest, seeing all of the people on your Instagram feed. Because as we all
Yeah.
know, if you've ever been planning a wedding or know someone planning a wedding, everything will start to be wedding
Right.
related. So everything you see is
Like my
weddings.
entire For You page
Yes.
is all weddings.
Everything you talk about is weddings. Everyone that comes up
It
to you,
consumes your life.
it does.
Yeah.
And so even just like from the moment of getting engaged, that is all anyone ever talks to you about.
Right.
And I think it is so hard because right now everyone's in kind of this season of like big grand weddings. Don't get me wrong, I love a over the top event, but that's not realistic for everyone, and everyone kind of sees the Pinterest and sees the inspo and is like, this is what I want, but that's not equal to their budget.
Right.
And so I think it is hard because as a wedding planner, you're trying to navigate trying to make their dreams come true while also being realistic with the parents or whoever's paying for the
Right.
wedding. And that is where comparison can be kind of something that just controls your mind, where you're like, well, you know, why can't I have what she had?
Right.
Or I'm not as good as her and her wedding looked way better than mine. Or, oh, well, she's getting married before me. How is she getting married before me?
Yeah.
Or just like things like that, just being single even or dating. And you're like, well, I've been dating for 7 years and she's been dating for 1 and now she's already engaged too.
Right.
I think it also goes back into just even dating and comparison can be such a thief of joy, like you said. And I think as a wedding planner, one of my biggest priorities is to make sure that the bride and the groom and their families that I'm working for center themselves back to why they're here, and why they want to get married and why they're doing it and who they're doing it in front of. I had written down that a wedding is a public declaration of covenant, which is unity and sacrifice and promise. And one of the biggest things that people can sometimes forget about is that you might even have non-religious guests that are witnessing something so sacred between you and your groom, and you want to be kind of just a public declaration of
light
that, and you
too,
want to be a
right.
light, and you want to show people what the meaning of that is, and that it's not just a party and it's not just words that you're saying and
Yeah.
repeating after an officiant, but it is a unity and two are becoming one. And some people may not have known what that would look like before your
Right.
wedding. And so as much fun as a reception is, the ceremony is also just as important.
Right. And I also think weddings hold so much identity. It's two completely different people getting married
Yeah.
and unifying into one. If you bring in comparison, you steal the identity.
Yeah.
So if you compare yourself to other people that are not like you, or, you know, even just something that you want to be that maybe that you're not, that takes all identity out of it.
Yeah, that's good.
It's not just one day that you're planning for, it's your entire life.
Right.
From the moment that even in singleness, but from the moment that you get engaged, you are building the blocks for your future marriage
Yeah.
and your future family. So like if you start to compare and take identity out of it, then that is just, you know, it takes all of the purpose and identity out of the reason that you're together in the marriage and
Yeah.
covenant.
Yeah. I think a lot of times too, a lot of people can get so wrapped up in the planning and the details and the patterns and the textures and all of that, that you kind of miss the mark of enjoying the season with the people that you're around and the people that are helping you or that are included in the planning process. A lot of people, a lot of girls do it with their moms the most. A lot of girls invite their groom to be more a part of it than other girls. And so I think when planning, it is important too to just, remember the people that you're with and the people that are helping you and have been alongside you your entire journey of maybe dating, now engaged, getting married to this person, that it's not just about all the details in the planning. It's about, just
Yeah.
enjoying the presence of the people
Right.
that you
And
love.
I think some way you can make that like a practical like practice in your life is whenever you see that pattern that you're falling into. Like I name it and I'm like, I'm scrolling on Pinterest and I'm like, oh, I don't have the budget for that. I don't think that is really what my wedding's going to look like, but I'll still save it for inspo. I name it right then and there, and I'm like, I feel myself falling into the pattern of comparison. Or I feel myself comparing the way my body looks from another bride. My body might not look like that on the day of, but I'm going to name it right then and there. I'm going to have discernment. I'm going to take a break from social media, fast for a little bit from it. I even had to do that. I haven't done anything, but I was looking at venues and I felt myself being overwhelmed by like the pressure of responding to all the inquiries and doing all the things. And am I going to have the down payment for that in time? Things like that, practical things. But I genuinely had to take a break from it, fast from it from 2 weeks. And then also just to prepare my heart for like this conversation. I stopped wedding planning completely. And I'm like, it's always going to be there. Like there are no rules to wedding planning, even though the wedding culture has made this timeline of like, you see on TikTok, like 9 months, send out your save the dates, order your wedding dress. Like those are all really great things and like resources to navigate. But when you have to stick to this like cookie cutter timeline and do it like everybody else, you're gonna fall into
It's
comparison,
really overwhelming
and your
too.
identity will be stolen.
Yeah, that's good. That's really, really good. Okay, next question is, how would you define a successful wedding day?
I think successful just truly depends on what the bride desires. I don't think it's about how well you execute the wedding or the day. Like, newsflash, things are gonna go wrong. Things
Whether
will
you
go
know
wrong.
it or not, things have gone wrong.
Right, and that's why it's so important to have a wedding planner, because she will hide all of that from you. You don't even need to know.
Yeah.
But I think that it's not about the execution of the day. It's you hear all the brides talk about, I want to be present, I want to be like in the moment, and like, yes, but what's your plan for that? Because if you weren't present in the planning and you weren't present in had the discernment to put it down or to put away the wedding planning for a little bit, how are you going to one day turn that on and just be present that day? You know what I mean? So like, yes, you can, and you can like block out all of the little things, but I think that the practice of being present starts now. And why would you not want to be present throughout the entire wedding planning process, not just the day of? So I think that, yes, of course, being present, but starting before just that day.
Yeah.
I don't think that, it has so much to do with, like I said, everything going right, but so much how you portray your beliefs and your perspective on like weddings and marriage and all that. Like, what does a true covenant mean to you? How are you portraying that? How are you representing that? And then also, something that's like near and dear to my heart is the ceremony. Like I don't like the quick ceremonies, the 20-minute ceremonies. Like I want to bask in that moment. I want to be, I want, God's presence to be so present that, it touches all the guests. We could circle back on that too. But it is more important to me to have that moment with God, in front of all my family and friends. you're never going to get that back. You're never
Yeah.
going to get the moment where every single person that you love and you trust and you want to be there and witness that are all going to be in one room. So like, how are you representing the biggest day of your life, and what are you going to do with that? And I think that is what makes a successful wedding, is just entrusting God with the most important day of your life and giving all the glory to Him, and just representing His intention for marriage well.
Yeah, that's good. I think with that, that's something that I tell all of my brides, especially on the day of, is like, this is probably one of the only days that y'all will both have everyone that you love and that supports you and your relationship all in the same place. And it really is such an honor to have, some people are having people fly in from other states, maybe other countries, people that you don't really get to see that often, or that just aren't ever in the same room together. And I think that there is something so special about that, is just having all of the people all together in one room and to really celebrate you and the life that you're building. And it's also just a representation of the support that you have behind your
So special.
marriage. And I think that is something that's so special, and that is something that makes the day feel already so successful, is having people there to support you and there to just encourage you and be there for the start of your rest of your life. And something for me that makes a wedding day feel so successful, I have two sides of this. I have some that are like wedding planner side, and then I have some that I do think would be like, this would be successful if I was to be the bride. And as a wedding planner, obviously, like we said, there will be things that either go wrong, or fires that need to be put out, and just problems that might need to be solved. And yes, that does make the day feel so successful. But for a wedding planner, I think making the bride and the groom and the family feel comfortable and cared for, and just serving them in a way that they feel like they didn't have to do anything the entire day, where they could fully be present. Like we said, everyone wants to be present on their wedding day, but having somebody there, a wedding planner, coordinator, whatever it is for you, who can truly take care of you and take care of your family. Because I tell all my brides, after all of the preparation and all of the planning, and whether it's a year-long engagement and you're planning for a year, whether it's 6 months, however long it is for you, you've done all of the work on the back end, and this is the day for you to enjoy, and you've finally gotten the day where it all comes to life. And I want my clients to be able to enjoy that. And I
Right.
want them to be fully present, and I want the parents to be there for their daughters or their sons. And so I think that's what makes it successful to me, is when clients are able to fully enjoy the entire day, and just see the whole process come to life. And then for a bride, I think for me at least would be to create an atmosphere for all of my guests to enjoy, to, I think it's all about, especially when planning as a bride too, I think it's more about how you want the guests to feel at your
Right. The
event.
experience.
The
Yeah.
experience. I think it is more of an experience than just an event and a party. And, besides the food and the napkins and the tablecloths, it's like,
Right. Like, what are they going to leave
how
saying?
what are they
Yeah.
going to leave saying? How are they going to feel at your wedding? And what is the overall mood of what you want to bring to the table? And so I think that is one thing that I think would make a successful wedding, is just
Yeah.
being able to execute the feel of the entire day to your guests.
Right.
And letting them feel that, letting them feel the joy, and letting them feel just the excitement and the love around the entire day and around you and your groom.
Yeah.
Because, it is about, the day is about you. The day is
Right.
about the bride and the groom. But the guests are there for you.
Right.
And so you want them to also be able to enjoy the day and just
So true.
feel what you wanted them to feel.
So true.
All of that. Okay. Next is, how has your faith shaped the way that you show up in the wedding industry?
I believe there's so many parallels in not just the wedding, itself, but marriage. And I think that when you truly dive into that and you truly make a way to understand all of the ways that God shows up for your marriage, and the wedding, literally, the Bible actually starts and ends with a wedding. So finding so much purpose and meaning in that, biblically speaking, just holds so much value. I know, to my heart,
Yeah.
and I think that has really shaped and kind of like paved a way for, I'm not full time in the wedding industry, but I am part time, and I'm also planning my own wedding. So it is such a prominent thing in my life right now. So whether it's in the cards for me or if God has that planned, we'll see. But I know, as for right now, He's definitely carved out a hole in my heart for weddings as a whole and marriages as a whole, and understanding the deeper meaning of marriage, and walking in that, and also just inspiring other people too, even if it's just one person. But I guess, do you want to talk about like the true meaning of marriage? Because I guess that's the way that like my faith has been shaped.
Yeah.
One thing I feel like helped me so much was literally this book. I was going to bring it out. It's by Timothy Keller, The Meaning of Marriage. I'm only halfway through it, and I'm not a reader, so if I can read it, y'all can read it. But it really, really, really has carved out true articulation for what marriage is. And I've always known that like I've had a wait for weddings, and I was like, oh, is it because I'm a little girl and I just love getting dressed up and having big parties? But no, I think the older I get and the more I walk into it full force, I kind of have realized that there's a deeper meaning into all of this.
Yeah.
One main thing that I think you could start with is, it's pretty obvious that Christ serves, or the husband serves as Christ, and then the body of believers is the wife. So there's a lot of different parallels, but one thing that kind of helped me, and I wrote a little chart down, was like, if you put husband and Christ in between all of the first words that I'm about to say, and then you put wife and church into all of the second words, it really helps kind of what's the word? It really helps you understand where he's kind of going in the blueprint of marriage.
Yeah.
So, husband in Christ loves, wife, church, respects, feeds versus body or embodies, cares for, nurtures, leads, submits. Wife, submit to your husband. Husband leads as Christ leads the church. Sacrifices, is sanctified. Covers, trust. Initiates, response. Gives and reflects or serves. So it's Ephesians 5 shapes that a lot, and just kind of goes a lot deeper into husbands, love your wives, wives, submit. I think submit can kind of be taken out of context
I think
in
so
a
too.
way,
Yeah.
just because of like the culture that we're in. But if you look at it in a way of submit, just means to like trust in a faithful position, not so much submit in the way that some people might be thinking.
Yeah.
So
good.
I do think that like God's design of marriage is so intentional, and there's just, that could be a whole separate conversation, but really understanding the blueprint of his intention, and he made marriage as a representation of like his saving love, and beginning the Bible with Adam and Eve, and the presentation of Eve to Adam, and Adam claiming his bride, and then you see at the end of the Bible when Christ returns and to claim his bride in Revelation. And so I think that understanding all of that together and just kind of clicking everything in your brain. It's just the more and more I dive into it, the more it clicks. And I'm like, okay, this is why I was so passionate about it, or this is why, I feel like I want to walk into this season of life with this new perspective.
Yeah, that's really good. I love that. I think that is one of the biggest things that should kind of be at the forefront of your mind in this entire process is the true meaning of why you're even getting married and what that means coming from just the word and what God intended it to be. And so that's really, really good. I think that just bringing your faith into the wedding industry, it can be hard because a lot of people may not experience just the love of Christ often. And so for me, that's a really big thing is to just kind of show the joy and the love and just like the grace of Christ through me to whoever I'm coming in contact with, whether
Yeah.
that be vendors or the family,
Yeah.
the bride, just anyone that I am serving or serving with, I think is really important. And I kind of wrote down that this industry can become so much about perfection and performance and pressure. But I feel like my faith can kind of center me back on the people and not the production.
Right.
And so I feel like this industry is a lot about all of these moving parts coming together for this one day and this one production or, performance party, whatever you want to call it. But it wouldn't happen without the people. And I
Right.
think serving those people well and serving them first is one of the most important things. And just going back to just having a calm presence and being honest throughout the planning process, whether it's questions that they're asking you, ideas that they have, whether that's like, we can try to look for it in a budget friendly way.
Right.
But I'm not sure if that, might be in the cards for
Yeah.
in that exact way of what they had envisioned, but we can figure out something else. And just serving the couple and not the aesthetic of like the entire wedding. And I think bringing your faith into the industry doesn't make you do less. It makes you do it with more intention.
Right.
And just kind of just serving in that way and serving the people and not the production is probably the biggest thing for me.
Yeah. And then just even speaking from like your point of view, like being the wedding planner, you have so much intention, but also like influence on them. And they're going to listen to anything that you're saying. Like
Yeah.
you're the pro, you're doing it. So leading with that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always have to be like, hey, this is what marriage means.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what? Like you don't
For
have to
sure.
like, throw it in their face, but at least like, the values behind what motivates you and how your faith has shaped you
Yeah.
in the wedding industry. And then leading with that and then, having just this influence on them that
Sure.
when they're in such a vulnerable position and
Yes.
just trying to get things done and
Yeah.
get the ball rolling.
I think that
really the
is
rock.
one of the most important things to me as a planner. And I tell all of my clients just how honored I am to be invited into that process and invited into that time of their life, because this is one of the most pivotal moments
Right.
of your life. And it is an honor to be a part of that and to serve them on this day that they've been waiting for their
Right.
entire life. And so I think that is another just reminder to serve well and to be there for the client and not just because I want to make this grand
Yeah.
wedding for my portfolio. You want to be there for the family and you want to be a lasting impact on
Yes.
them. And, you know, a lot of my brides turned into friends and turned into
Yeah.
people that I love just because
Absolutely.
you're going through this whole process and you're doing
so
it together.
vulnerable,
And
yeah.
so, yeah. So I think that is one of the best parts about just the industry and bringing your faith back into that. Okay. I am going to skip over and we'll go ahead and finish with this question is when couples start getting overwhelmed, how would you help ground them? Or what
Yeah.
would, for you, what do you think would be something that you would want to ground you in a time that you're overwhelmed from wedding planning?
Yeah. So I think this is like more in the context of like before or like the day of.
We'll do both.
Okay. So before, I think, because obviously I feel like the day of you're doing more damage control. You're not,
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
doing like quick fixes and
Yes.
re-anchoring and
Yeah.
like let's bring it back to the center. But beforehand, I truly think that reminding them of their values that they, you know, maybe led with you
Yeah.
about and bring them back to the center. One thing that remains constant is the bride might think it's the wedding planner. She's constant. She's always going to be there. She's going to do it. But one thing that does remain the same always is going to be God. And he's going to, you know, lead you in the right path. He's going to quiet all of the storms. And
Yeah.
when it seems like everything's falling apart or that it's not going to go the way as you planned, just remembering and grasping on to I'm surrendering everything to him. You can't control the weather. You can't control the
Yeah.
things that you're stressed about.
And he already has it planned. And
Right.
he already knows how perfect it's going to be.
God is the ultimate wedding planner.
He is. He
He's
is the ultimate wedding
He started
planner.
it, he created it, start to
Yes.
finish. So I think just the act of surrender, not only just like with wedding planning, this could go literally into your entire life, but the act of surrender is so important. And I've felt that. I've felt you feel that in your career, in your calling, like you can't control these things. And the more that you surrender and the more that you give it up and say, my whole life for your glory and everything, you know, to be done in your name, I can't control any of this. But what I can control is giving the glory to you and giving it all to you. And I think that the more that you take these things that you're stressed about and the things that worry you or keep you up at night, the more that you give them up, the less weight that they have on you and the less control that they have on you. I think it can go a lot deeper. I think that whenever you're talking about like the storms, you're like, oh, this vendor quit on me, like things like that. Obviously, those are very minuscule things, but when you are letting those take control over your life, you're really, really missing the mark.
Yeah.
And that is, I truly, truly, truly believe that that is Satan's biggest tactic in wedding planning.
Yeah.
You are prepping for the most important day of your life, but you're stressed about this one tiny thing. That's so the enemy.
Yeah,
He wants to distract you, throw you off, get you thinking about other things, when you could be thinking about the glory that, you know, to give to God, that I have this amazing man who I'm going to walk with for the rest of my life and use to honor his kingdom and advance his kingdom. And meanwhile, I'm bogged down by all of these tiny minuscule things.
Mm-hmm. And I think that too is, I think part of that is because the devil hates unity and the devil hates when anything is glorifying to the Lord. And when you are doing that, there are going to be so many things that you feel like might be trying to tear you apart, or just things that are going wrong or things that you're struggling with, conversations that you're having to have, whether that be with the person that you're marrying, whether that be with family, whether that be with anyone that that might be in the situation. But I think that is truly just coming back to immediately taking that, naming it and rebuking it, because that is something that the devil will try to attack you and will say, oh, well, this is going wrong. This is just a disaster.
Right.
This is terrible. Like,
Like,
this,
I don't
the
even
wedding is
wanna
not even going
do
to
it
be good
anymore. Right.
anymore. And then that is really when you can get kind of into a hole and into a dark pit of just
Yes.
just like forgetting
The meaning.
the
and
meaning,
the root of
forgetting
everything.
just why you're here. And when you let those things affect you to that extent, it can really be a problem. And reminding yourself that that is not God, and that is not God giving you signs or whatever, that is the devil trying to attack you and trying to
And he uses
separate you from glorifying the
right.
Lord.
Yeah, and he's going to use good things and
Yeah.
turn them.
Yeah.
If you're speaking in the context of just planning for weddings, obviously these things are going to be very different than what you're going to face in the future and what you're going to face marriage wise. But I think knowing the true meaning of marriage and his intention for it is what is ultimately going to ground you.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have any foundation, you say, God's my foundation, but then I'm quickly falling short over like these tiny things. Having the bigger picture, the greener side to look at and be like, this
Yeah.
is why I'm on this race, is the whole reason that's going to really draw you back and bring you back. Because I would be very, dumb to say that I'm not going to experience spiritual warfare with
Yeah.
my husband.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to happen. It's going to happen either now or it's going to happen after. That's just what the enemy does. He's going to attack, and he's going to attack marriage because it's the most purposeful thing that you can do in this life to
Yeah.
advance God's kingdom.
Yeah.
So if you are prepared and you know the truth and you know the truth of marriage and the reason that you're walking into this next season of life, then you're going to be more prepared to name it and have discernment over it, and just walk fruitfully.
Yeah, that's so good. I think one of the most pivotal things for me when, because being around couples or, speaking to other brides or whatever it might be, when they do get overwhelmed, because this is a very overwhelming process.
Yeah.
There are a lot of moving parts. There are a lot of things that you have to think about, that you have to plan. And I think a lot of it too is a lot of brides feel like they have to please a lot of other people within the process. And so kind of going back to asking the couple what matters most to them, what parts of the day matter the most to you, that you want to spend the most time enjoying, and just that bringing back the why of why you're getting married, and what you want the day to look like, and just kind of slowing down, remembering the meaning, making it less stressful and more holy.
Right.
And
I think, oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
I think there's so many practical ways that you can honor God in engagement, and in singleness, that will prepare you for those times of destruction. And even after, when you're married and things are, seem to be falling apart, the preparation and the work that you did is really what's going to lay the firm foundation of the marriage. And I think so many people have this mindset that they're planning for one day of their life, and you're only planning logistical things.
Yeah.
But when you really draw back and say, no, I'm planning for like my future family,
lifetime,
like,
and
there's
the
so
next
many,
generation.
right? I wrote down a couple like practical ways that you could maybe implement that just to get some inspiration. But I think the main thing is to be a praying couple.
Yeah.
And I think that when you're a praying couple, it is, you just kind of name everything and you're like, this is the story for our lives. Everything that we're both bringing into this relationship, all of the the weights that we hold in our separate, are all going to be together, and it's going to be unified. So it's going to be even harder to navigate. So if you're in a season of engagement, navigating that beforehand. Everyone talks about premarital counseling. That's huge because you're navigating
Yeah.
all of those
Yeah.
really, really hard things that you're bringing in, generational
Conversations that you wouldn't have
curses.
had
Yeah,
before,
beforehand.
because, as a dating couple, there are a lot of things that, shouldn't happen until marriage, or that
Right.
you shouldn't,
Or
there
we'll
are
put
just
that
lines that you
off.
shouldn't cross
Right.
until marriage, because you will be
Yes.
united as one. When you're dating and still even engaged, you're still two separate people. And so
Right.
there are some things that should still be kind of blocked off for your individual self.
Right.
And, there is no dating in the Bible. It's single or married.
Right.
And so you're either single and you're
In
one person,
right.
or you're unified as two.
Exactly.
And
Like you're
so,
either inside of marriage or you're
yeah,
outside of
yeah,
marriage. And so, like, understanding the way of, he intended this for marriage, or he intended this to have before marriage, so that you lay out everything and you're like, this is what I've gone through in my life. And obviously, your partner knows what you've gone through in life. But to really dive deep into some of the things that you don't talk about
yeah.
beforehand,
And to a
premarital
spiritual
counseling
extent.
is huge.
Yeah.
Yes. Premarital counseling, always praying couple, being a praying couple, and just praying those things over your life, and like, this is not the story for our marriage, even though we've gone through these things in the past. This is not the story. We're gonna start fresh, start new,
Yeah.
be unified as one.
Yeah.
One tiny thing that I tie into honoring God in, like, the season of engagement, or just the season that I'm walking in,
Yeah.
is all these to-do lists. We talked about it being bogged down or whatever. Tying scripture to your to-do list
I love that.
is one of my favorite little tiny things that I can just read. Every time I look at my to-do list, I'm looking at the verse of the
Scripture.
week.
Yeah.
Like, so tiny, but it just holds so much value, and just sets the tone for, like, this is my intention for what I'm going to go find venues, but I'm going to have this intention that this is what truly matters. And if everything goes wrong, at least I have one thing that's right, and it's going to be the unification of, me and my husband, and our walk with God. But also, next thing I wrote down was, I saw a girl do this, and I'm like, I really hope that he doesn't watch this, because I'm so doing this. She bought a Bible, and it was like a very manly Bible. And she started writing, and she actually didn't know her husband at the time, but she started writing everything in that Bible and praying over her future husband, praying over her family, and just his protection, his walk with God. That
Yeah.
way, when they do meet, that he'll lead her in
Wow.
the right direction. And then she gave it to him on
Wow.
the wedding day. And I've known Grant for a very long time. So obviously I couldn't do that before we started dating, but I really, truly, I think that would be so special to give
Yeah.
to him on the day of, to be like, you're prayed for.
Yeah.
And,
Long before you even
Right.
knew.
right. And that also, like, as a wife, or as, like, preparing to be a wife, you have so much meaning in
Purpose
being
and-
right,
yeah.
in being the support system behind your
Yeah.
husband.
That's good.
Not that you're in the shadows all the time, but you are the support. He couldn't do it without you. He's not going to do it without you. That's the reason that God made a wife out of her rib. So I think, praying into that journal and giving it to him, and being like,
I
this
love
is something that I've been praying for a long time. That's
Yeah.
just one way of prepping to be a wife, or prepping for your husband.
Yeah. And I think a lot of these things that we've talked about, or that, a lot of our brides are in this season, a lot of this, it's not just for brides. It's not just for girls that are engaged. A lot of this preparation and prayer and, just steadfastness in your relationship with the Lord comes before that, and comes in your singleness, or in your dating, or whatever it might be, is you are preparing for a husband. And I think a lot of that comes on your own before you maybe even meet him, or before you get engaged, or whatever that might be, is is preparing yourself and making sure that you as an individual are prepared to serve, are prepared to nurture and be cared for,
Right.
and be, just the heart behind that is just really important, and making sure that you are prepared for that. I feel like a lot of girls can get kind of lost in like, oh well, everyone has a boyfriend, everyone's getting engaged, like all I see is marriage or weddings or people with baby announcements and all of these things. And everyone does have different timelines, everyone has different plans. But making sure your preparation and your just kind of what your
Understanding.
relationship with the
Yeah.
Lord looks like before that, and are you satisfied if you were to never, if the Lord was to never give you that? Are you
Yeah.
satisfied with the Lord and the Lord only?
Like your husband does not complete you, but
Yes. Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
something that's very special, and is you're definitely not meant to be alone. Like
Yeah.
on day 6 in Genesis, they said, God said that man is not meant to be alone. It's not good for man to be alone.
Yeah.
So having that person to walk through and navigate life with, but doing the preparation beforehand, in the singleness, in the dating, it's never too late, even if you're already married. Like,
Yeah.
it's never too
It's
late
never too late, girls.
to walk in that direction and honor God in everything that you do, in your marriage, your future
Yeah.
marriage, your family,
Yeah.
all of that.
Yeah, I think that is so important too. And like you said, like prayer is so powerful, and that is just a direct line to the Lord. Especially praying over your family, praying over generations. And that
So much power in that.
this is a time and an opportunity for you and your husband or significant other, whatever that may be, even if it is in preparation before your marriage, that y'all are creating a life that may look completely different from what you've grown up with or what you've been around. And you are inviting the Lord into that.
Right.
And you are trusting that, the way that you have pursued the Lord, and just the way that you've also pursued your spouse, is that's going to glorify the Lord and
Right.
further his kingdom
Yeah.
in the next generation and in your family.
Yeah, like he just makes your significant other to have all the things that you're lacking.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so you can't do it alone. You have to have a partner. You've got to walk with him and glorify him. He meant that for you, and he has someone specifically designed for you to advance his kingdom in what you're lacking. So I think that's so special, and there's so much power and meaning in that. And gosh, you could just literally dive into like the meaning of marriage, like in a
You
whole separate
could.
podcast.
You could.
And
Let
maybe
us
once
know
I
if
get
y'all want to
this
hear
book,
more, because
we
we
can
will
have
definitely make
part
another
2.
podcast
Yeah.
episode. And yeah, I think it's to the single girls too, and it's to the dating
Absolutely.
girls and the engaged girls, the married girls that are already married. And if y'all have any further questions that y'all want us to
Yeah.
answer, or anything that y'all didn't hear that you want to hear, please let us know, and y'all can message us. We are so thankful that y'all listened today. Thank you, Hallie, for coming on the podcast.
I enjoyed
First
it. This
podcast.
was so fun.
I know. We love it here
This
at the
was
Phyllis Mountain
amazing.
Podcast. So yeah, if y'all have any other questions that y'all want us to answer, please feel free to message us, and we will see y'all on next week's episode.
Bye, girls.
Bye.